Breaking news! There's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and Dan Campbell is committed to doing his best and making adjustments to the team. If you believe in Campbell's work, like this video and comment, "Campbell, I believe in you." Free agency is right around the corner, and things are about to get wild. Okay, let's get started. Could we see some familiar faces back in Detroit in 2025? Let's talk about 4 former Lions who could return this offseason. Now, before anyone asks, no, Matthew Stafford is not coming back. That's not happening. But we've seen this team bring back former players before. Just look at Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who came back last year and ended up having an all-pro season. Could the Lions bring back a few more former players to fill important roles? Let's take a look. First up, wide receiver KhaDarel Hodge. Hodge had a brief stint with the Lions in 2021, and while he wasn't a factor on offense, he's made a name for himself as one of the league's best special teams playmakers. He was a Pro Bowler this year with the Falcons, and Detroit could use a player like him in that role. Right now, Khalil Dorsey, our current leading scorer, is a free agent after breaking his leg late last season. If the Lions want a proven guy who can contribute on special teams and provide depth at wide receiver, Hodge makes a lot of sense. Next up, safety Quandre Diggs. It's time to bring this guy back home. The Lions have a great safety duo in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, and they'll likely try to bring Ifeatu Melifonwu back in free agency. But with all the turnover in the secondary, wouldn't it be smart to keep Branch at nickel and add a veteran like Diggs for depth? He may not be the same player he was in his prime, but he still brings leadership, toughness, and experience. And let's be real, how awesome would it be to see him back in a Lions uniform making big plays? Moving on to the cornerback position, Mike Hughes is an interesting name to watch. Right now, Carlton Davis III's future with the Lions is uncertain. If he doesn't return, the starting cornerbacks are set, but depth is still a concern. Hughes didn't have the best year when he was in Detroit in 2022, but he quietly had a solid 2024 season as the Falcons starter. He could step into the rotational role that the Lions originally expected Emmanuel Moseley to fill before injuries derailed that plan. Plus, he's a capable special teams contributor, which is always a plus. Finally, let's talk about edge rusher Julian Okwara. This one might be a long shot, but it's worth discussing. The Lions need to add depth to their defensive line, and while Okwara never became the dominant player some expected him to be, he has shown flashes of being a solid rotational pass rusher. He had a nice season with the Cardinals in 2024, and if the Lions are looking for cheap, reliable depth at the edge, this wouldn't be the worst idea. That said, with Detroit hoping to overhaul their pass rush group, they may want to look for younger options. So, Lions fans, what do you think? Should any of these guys return to Detroit? Would you bring back Diggs for veteran leadership? Does Hodge's special teams prowess make him a must-sign? Or should the Lions look to add new talent? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start with some front office changes. Detroit is losing a key scouting executive. Mike Martin, a crucial piece of Brad Holmes' front office team, is leaving the Lions after 4 years to join Notre Dame. Martin has had an extensive scouting career, with past stops at the Panthers, Texans, Buccaneers, and Titans. Holmes always made sure to highlight Martin's contributions, especially during the 2023 draft, when Detroit put together one of the most impactful classes in recent history. This marks yet another change in what has been an offseason of turnover for Detroit. The Lions already lost both offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, along with multiple assistants. In the front office, Lance Newmark, Brandon Sosna, and Dave Sears all took jobs elsewhere last year. Losing Martin might not make headlines, but it's another key piece of the puzzle that Holmes will need to replace as Detroit enters one of the most important offseasons in franchise history. Now, let's shift gears and talk about one of Detroit's biggest strengths, the offensive line. The numbers speak for themselves. The Lions joined Elite Company as one of just 5 teams in NFL history to rack up 6 500-plus yards and 70-plus touchdowns in a season, alongside legendary offenses like the 2007 Patriots and 2018 Chiefs. Penei Sewell earned first-team All-Pro honors for the second straight season, while Frank Ragnow made second-team All-Pro. Taylor Decker got his first Pro Bowl nod as an injury replacement. Detroit's run game was dominant, rushing for over 2,300 yards and 28 touchdowns, leading the league with 15 games over 100 rushing yards. The Lions ranked third in the NFL in pass protection and were one of the least penalized offensive lines, finishing fifth in holding penalties and fourth in false starts. Simply put, this offensive line was one of the best in football. But even the best units have areas to improve. Pass protection was solid, but not elite, ranking 10th in sacks allowed, 33, and opponent QB hurries, 162. Another concern? Guard play. While Kevin Zeitler had a strong season, graded as the sixth best guard in the NFL, Graham Glasgow struggled, ranking 68th among guards and allowing 45 pressures, fourth most at his position. So what's next? Free agency decisions. Zeitler, Dan Skipper, Keota Wasika, Connor Galvin, and Michael Neese are all free agents. Zeitler, 34, is the biggest name on that list. He was a great fit in Detroit, but does he have another strong year left? Brad Holmes acknowledged that discussions are ongoing, but no decision has been made yet. Veteran options on the market. If the Lions want to bring in reinforcements, Trey Smith, KC, Ronnie Stanley, BAL, Cam Robinson, MIN, Tevin Jenkins, Chi, and Zach Martin, DAL, are all potential free agent targets. Martin, 34, could be a short-term fix, while someone like Trey Smith could be a long-term upgrade. The draft. Brad Holmes has always prioritized the offensive line, and this draft class has some serious talent. Tyler Booker, Alabama, Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, and Armand Membu, Missouri, are some day one or day two prospects that could step in and compete immediately. There's also rookie Christian Mahogany, who saw limited action in 2024 but showed promise when called upon. Could he step into a bigger role in 2025? And don't forget Giovanni Manu, a third-round pick last year who essentially had a redshirt season to develop. He could push for the swing tackle role or even challenge for a starting spot. What's the plan? Holmes made it clear, the offensive line will always be a priority. As he put it, I don't care how good we ever get on the offensive line, that's the engine for us. It's our identity. So, Lions fans, what do you think? Should the Lions bring back Zeitler or look for a younger replacement? Would you prefer a veteran free agent or a draft pick to strengthen the offensive line? And how do you feel about the front office changes? Will they impact Detroit's ability to keep building a championship team? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is shaping up to be one of the most important off-seasons in Lions history, and we'll be covering every move, every signing, and every draft pick. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Lions!